Dr. Steve, master of the subconscious mind and doctor who fixes 100% of orthopedic issues not related to cancer, fracture infection, and another clinical pearl for everyone is why sunlight is so important, because most people only know it's vitamin D. So sunlight also activates your copper, and I've talked about copper and iron binding before. If they don't bind, it doesn't transport for the ceruloplasmin in the liver. Now we end up with these hydroxyl radicals that kill your hormones. They cause the adrenal glands, which make all your hormones, to function abnormally and suppress the thyroid, increase estrogen. So in all this, seed oils is a culprit again, and chicken, but sunlight activates. So sunlight is another piece of this puzzle. Sunlight activates the copper and improves the thyroid function. Now, the best sources of copper, remember, I've told everybody, but the best sources of copper are going to be your citrus fruits and liver. And there's really not enough there. Wild camu generally might have the best amount of copper. I know it's difficult to get that. The only real way to do it is to spray your soil with copper sulfate because the soil is so depleted, and then grow your own citrus fruit like a cherry tree. But copper and iron binding is important. Now, it's not just the adrenals that crash. The reason for pinched nerves and nerve tissue, connective tissue swelling is the copper is not binding to the iron. The copper is not activated by sunlight. Sunlight, actually, you have trillions of millivolts of power and electricity within your cells, and they're activated by the sun. So when we're talking about inflammation and nerve pain, I deal with the structure and moving people's posture, but a lot of times energetically and biochemically what's going on is there's an activation of copper problem, an insufficient copper problem, and we need to get that copper to bind to the iron. So we need to get the sources of copper that we're deficient in, through the ways I said, and we need to make sure that we're getting retinol forms of vitamin A, which we get from liver and cod liver oil, to transport the copper to the iron through the ceruloplasmin. And then now you won't affect the reticular endothelial system. That's your immune system, right? The immune system part, the phagocyte system, if you remember from biology, that's where it comes and eats up all that bacterial byproduct and that waste product when we go into autophagy, which autophagy is clearing a metabolic byproduct, a waste product. It's almost like it's part of the parasympathetic system. It's like rest and digest, either that or in your fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, your adrenals are heightened. They eventually crash, but also estrogen goes up, histamine's up, serotonin's up. You're in that constant, I have to protect myself mode. And we want to calm things down. Sunlight is one of the best things for you, not just for vitamin D, but also for hormones, also for the digestive system, the nerves, nerve tissue, connective tissue, mood, right, neurotransmitter production. So that's just a little quick fix. You can solve some of the pinched nerves and swelling in tissues just by getting sunlight and making sure you get enough copper.